Hi guys, welcome back to the Cozy Corner. This video is going to be a little bit different than my usual videos, but I thought I would give you a quick clip through of my reading journal for 2026. This is the first year I've done a journal like this. Usually I just keep a list of the books I've read and then just put a star rating next to them. But this year I thought I'd get a little bit more creative, so let's dive in. So I started with just a simple 2026 reading journal and an A to Z challenge. I'm trying to read a book with every letter of the alphabet. Obviously the last letters will be a little bit more challenging to find. Then I have a page for my video ideas. Obviously don't want to give any spoilers, but that video is already uploaded. There are sections of the journal that I will be keeping for next year and sections that I will be changing. I found out very quickly what works for me and what doesn't work for me, but we learn. So then I have a wish list and I've left a couple of pages to add some more, and when I've got the book on my wish list I highlight it so I don't end up buying it again. This is my physical TBR, where basically I have a list of everything on my TBR bookshelves, and then the same with my wish list. Once I've read it I'll put a highlighter through it, just to see how much I actually read from my physical TBR at the start of the year compared to the ratio of books that I actually read. And again, I've left a bit more space to add as I accumulate through the year. Next is probably one of my favourite pages, but I will be doing it slightly different next year. This is my 26 to read in 2026. I like the background, I like the bookshelf. I'm not a fan of the way I've done the books, but we live and we learn. And these are the titles of my 26 and 2026, and as I've read them I will go colouring them in, and I'm pretty confident I will be able to read all of them before the end of 2026. The next page is my reading bucket list, so I have certain prompts and I've left enough space below the prompt that I can then add the title of the book that I've read to fit that prompt. So I've done an LGBTQIA+, and that was Love Letters to the Dead, and I've done a multiple point of view in The Forgotten Garden, but I'm really excited to be able to continue and finish those. Then I have my acquired pages. These are books throughout the year that I would have bought, that I would have been gifted, and then I've also got a section of secondhand books and little free library books. So secondhand books is anything that I would get from a charity shop, or there's a online bookstore called World of Books which rehome secondhand books for a really cheap price, and they're usually in really good condition. Oops. And then I have this page as well just to add any other books I acquire throughout the year. Next up is my series tracker. I'm not usually one for reading a lot of series, but I thought this year there are series that I want to read, so I've got the title of the series and then each square represents the book numbers in that series. So The Naturals, I've read the first 3 books and I've got 1 more to read. And Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I've read the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd and the 5th. I've got the 4th to read and then the 6th. The 6th isn't released yet, but these were also standalone books, you could read them in any order. Then I have The Hunger Games, which I've included the prequel to this as well as part of the series. I've got the Shatter Me series, Beartown, Tudor Rose, Louisa May Alcott, so Little Women, Good Wives, Little Boys, Jo's Boys. I can't remember the title of the other one. The 8 Cousins, I think it is. Next up I have my tracker, and this is where I will keep a record of everything that I've read this year, going from the title, the author, the genre of the book, the number of pages, and then the star rating that I've given each book. And again, a bit like with the TBR, I've given it little Dutch door pages, just so I didn't have to put tracker at the top of each page. And that will be something I will continue over to next year. This is going to be my Hall of Fame. or one of my Halls of Fame anyway. And the Hall of Fame is where I will put the books that I read in 2026 that really, really stood out to me. Books that I thought about since I finished reading them, books that, I don't want to say changed me because that's really cliche, but books that made me really reflect and possibly change the way of my thinking will end up in here. So I will print a little image of the front cover, and then they will end up in this lovely Hall of Fame here. And then this is another way of tracking what I'm reading this year, and this is a monthly tracker. So I will have I will draw a front cover for the books I'm read, put them in, and then underneath I've got a little page count, rating and genre, and then over on this page I have the rating. So the reason this pink one, so each colour corresponds to a book. So the pink one is The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton. The reason it's got 2 different colour squares is because I rated it a 4-star when I finished reading it, but then the more I thought about it in the following week, I realised the more I enjoyed the book, so I bumped it up to a 5-star. And then the same here in the formatting. For The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I've coloured half of it in a paperback and half of it in an audiobook because I swapped between the 2 genres to complete that book. Then I have genre of fiction, non-fiction, amount of pages, and then this one is the author, so male author, female author, non-binary author. So at the moment in January, all I've read are female authors, but I do have some other books to read that are not female authors. And then this will continue through the months. I try to use a different washi tape for each month, but I think there is a repetition of the washi tape somewhere along the line. And then I've got a couple of bingos. So I've got a genre bingo where I will read or try and read a book from each genre. As you can see, sci-fi already has a little tick, so that means I've read the sci-fi, but nothing else has yet. And then the rainbow bingo, I'm hoping to print out the cover of the book that corresponds to each colour of the rainbow. My 2026 book bracket. So my favourite book from January will be listed here, and that will go up against my favourite book from April. And then my favourite book out of those 2 will go up against my favourite book out of these 2, and so on, to end up with my favourite book of the whole year. I think it will be quite a hard challenge to do, but I'm also really excited to do it. This is one of my roundups at the end of the year. This is one that I've created. You'll see in the next couple of pages, I did find other ones that I also thought were really good. So I've got total of books, total of physical books, audio books, total of pages, DNFs, total fiction, total non-fiction, female authors, male authors, worst book of the year, favourite book of the year, books read in a different language, and books read in English. Obviously the majority of my books of this year will be read in English, but I do also hope to be able to read some books in different languages as well. Banned book bingo is a bingo that I've been trying to do for the past 2 years, but I really got into it last year. So I've got a list of all the banned books I want to read so far. The ones that have the coloured squares around them, they're books that I've already read. So these are the ones that I still have to read, and I'm hoping that by the end of this year I will be able to have the majority of them with a nice little coloured square around the edge. So this is another yearly wrap-up page that I found online, which I thought was really cool, and it gives you like the total of 5-star reads, 4, 3, 2, 1, total of paper books, ebooks, fan fiction, audiobooks, how many books you reread, and then it gives you an award chart as well. So the longest book you read, the shortest, the most read author, most read genre, and best reading month. And then it also gives you 5 blank books where you can create your own category and keep track that way as well, which I thought was really good. And then just a more of an aesthetic visual representation of my 2026 book bracket challenge. I will put the front cover each of my favourite books of each month in these books, just to make it look a little bit nicer. And then on these next 2 pages, I plan to do random challenges, so challenges I think about through the year that won't then fit in. So in January I've done a reading challenge, but the books that I've read in the reading challenge are not going to fit here, as well as my January reads, so I will put them on my random challenges sheets, and then I'll just put them up next to them that I did the challenge and what the challenge was. And that is my reading journal for 2026. As I said, I'm not entirely happy with it. There are things that I will change for next year, things that I will take out, things that I will add on, but I do really, really like this challenge in particular, 26 books in 2026. I'm really looking forward to that, as well as some of the other challenges that I will come about throughout the year. So yeah, thanks for joining me for a flip through of my 2026 reading journal, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!